achieved.
First, we're talking about Bellator. The next Bellator event is actually taking place on the same night as UFC 220, and it's featuring a welterweight title fight between Rory McDonald and Douglas Lima, the champion, arguably, probably the biggest welterweight matchup title fight hit in the history of Bellator, and it was recently bumped to the co-main event in favor of the heavyweight tournament quarterfinal matchup between Chael Sonnen and Rampage Jackson. So you have a 3-round fight taking precedence over a 5-round fight. I get it's for the heavyweight title and they want to promote that tournament, but this welterweight matchup's massive, and it should certainly be taking the main spot. And I think it's disrespectful to the champion, it's disrespectful to the challenger, it's disrespectful to the belt, and Roy McDonald's already voiced his opinion on how disappointed he is, and I totally understand that. This is not the first time Bellator has made a championship fight secondary to a different fight that didn't have quite as much significance. Additionally, talking about disrespecting the belt, or at least maybe getting some things right, it sounds like Conor McGregor is going to be stripped of the title if he doesn't compete before, I think he said September is when he plans to come back, and Dana White said that's not good enough. The rumor going around, I don't know if it's confirmed already, but UFC 223, Khabib Nurmagomedov will take on Tony Ferguson, the interim champion. It sounds like it'll be for the actual title belt, which is very exciting. I'm looking forward to that fight. I want to see Conor get back in there. It's fantastic. I want to see him fight. But, yeah, if he's not going to fight, strip him of the title, let him come back. If he's good enough, he will reclaim that belt. If he's not, well, he shouldn't have had it anyway. Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive MMA Predictions. As always, I am your host, Scott Johnson, and we are heading towards the first pay-per-view event of the year. It is UFC 220, which will take place on January 20th from TD Garden, the home of my Boston Bruins, and will feature a UFC heavyweight title fight and a UFC light heavyweight title fight, and it should be fantastic opening year fodder for the MMA fans. Now, I'm coming off a very, very successful event, UFC Fight Night, what was it, 124? I went 9-2. Now, I did lose the main event, which cost me a massive night, but the big bankroll returned 37.83 units, and the big risk parlays and the bet packs returned 57.04 units. Again, if Choi had won this fight, it would have added significant, quite a bit more. I could almost see after the first round, even though he did very well in the first round, he just didn't have the size and durability to hold up with the bomb Stevens was starting to land and was starting to get in range to connect on. So that was disappointing. But either way, good fight night overall, very much enjoyable. Again, 2018, one of those years. Again, we're kicking off. I can't believe this is 8 years now. I started in 2010. I think my first main event was Vladimir Miocic and John Jones going 1-1. I remember interviewing Vladimir Miocic on the phone back in the day for Low Kick. And then he goes and fights he fought John Jones, which was pretty damn cool. So I thought it was kind of neat. Yeah, 2018. It could be my final year. I don't know. I've had a good run of it, but things happen. We'll see. We do crazy things in life, and we just take a chance and see how things turn out. And this was a good chance I took 8 years ago and keep doing this. And I appreciate everybody who's turned out. So let's see how 2018 goes. We'll roll forward with it, and I'm not going anywhere as far as right now is concerned, but we'll see what the future holds. Also, the bet packs, as I said, very successful. They're on sale for $15. You can also save some money if you subscribe for the first 2 months. Certainly worth considering. We're hopefully getting a hot streak. And again, we are on pace for trying to get 300 victories, where we have 291 to go after the first card of the year. Let's see if we can take another big chunk out of that number and get to our first main card prediction. I'm going to tell you before I get started, 4 of these 5 main card fights, I really did not have a bead on a winner, flat-out confident pick before I did my research. And even after I did some of my research, I went, I can see why I'm leaning this way, but I can totally see an avenue for victory for the other fighter. But either way, let's get into one of those first matchups. We are in the UFC's bantamweight division. The 10th-ranked Tomasina Almeida, 22 wins and 2 losses, takes on the 14th-ranked Boston native Rob Font, 14 wins and 3 defeats. Now, Almeida's coming off a decision loss to Rivera, and his first name always escapes me. I don't know why. It always does. He's lost 2 of his last 3. And they're big fights versus top-ranked contenders. Of course, losing to Cody Garbrandt, who went on to win the title. So Almeida's kind of taking a step back. And I always think of that fight, Lyoto Machida versus Thiago Silva back in the day. Thiago and Lyoto were both undefeated. Lyoto knocked him out, went on to win the title. Thiago kind of fizzled out from there. Had some good fights, but never achieved what Lyoto did in his career. Coming into this, Rob Font, 2-2. In his last 4 fights, he was subbed by Pedro Munoz in his last fight. Has finished his last 6 wins, though, and he's fighting at home in Boston, which is always a positive thing for a fighter to do. Physically, Font 1 inch taller, of a 1 inch reach advantage. The Brazilian is 4 years younger. Now, both fighters have exceptionally solid finishing numbers. Almeida has knocked out 17 opponents to go along with 3 submission victories. Font has 6 wins and 6 wins by knockout, 4 submission victories in far less fights, but still pretty good. Now, looking at Almeida first, he is a lethal pocket striker. Very calculated. He'll throw good counters, starts low, rise up for a left hook. He throws good combinations, hard leg kicks. He'll work in knees. He'll work in elbows. He's a multifaceted, very dangerous striker. I like the way he shoots a straight right over top of his opponent's hands. He has power. He's quick. He snakes it through there. He'll find a pathway through for his hands through your guard if you think you're just going to shell up and defend against him. When he fought Ige, he decimated with combinations. He dropped Brad Pickett with a step and elbow. He had a jumping knee for the finish and a brutal back-and-forth fight. Saw him get hit as well. Now, he got hit a couple times in that fight. He got dropped by Pickett. He had his nose broken, which showed how durable and tough he was. But, he has been hurt in fights before. He got knocked out by Cody Garbrandt. Obviously, Garbrandt was cracking him with some big shots every time he moved forward, and at times he seemed a little bit hesitant. Maybe he got stunned early on. Anthony Burchak hurt him as well, and we have seen some issues. Rivera also hurt him. He is a southpaw. He tends to let his left hand drop a little bit, which allows his opponent's right hand to sneak through a little bit more, and that's certainly an issue. Now, when he fought Rivera, who's arguably on the verge of fighting for the title, he rallied in the second round. He put up a heck of a good fight. He actually landed more strikes than Rivera did. He just didn't get quite where he wanted to go, especially giving up a takedown in the final round. And speaking of that, we haven't seen a lot of Almeida on the mat. He likes to attack submissions when an opponent does take him down, but we'll see if Font looks to go that avenue. I don't know. I expect this to be contested on the feet primarily. Now, Font is a striker by trade. He's got solid power in his right hand. As I mentioned, 6 wins by knockout. He throws a solid left jab, slick combinations for the most part. He will go to the body and mix in some kicks. I like the way he pushes forward behind his strikes, and he did that against Andrade in his last fight. He locked up a tie clinch, landed some knees. He'll also throw a stepping knee to both the body and the chin. Now, he had issues with the power and aggression of John Lineker, and he was backtracking a lot in that fight, and let really Lineker dictate the pace in that matchup, and that arguably cost him a decision there. He does have 4 wins by submission overall. He has found some success on the mat. Not a lot of takedowns, though, so it's kind of one of those things, once he gets there, he goes for the submission. That's pretty much it. I would say overall, Font has the better chin. He's the more durable fighter, but again, we haven't seen him cracked a whole heck of a lot. I would say Almeida's a little bit faster, a little bit more diversified, as far as the striker is concerned. Font fighting at home is huge, but he really hasn't beaten anyone of note. You look at the victories he's picked up; they're not that solid of wins over really low-level guys. Almeida, he held his own with Rivera. He rallied from a rough start. He's beat some other solid veterans. It hasn't been all smooth sailing for him, but again, he's fighting top-level guys. Almeida's aggression, I think, will keep Font backing up. He'll land the better strikes, and my prediction is Thomas Almeida to defeat Rob Font by decision. Fight number 2 in the main card takes place in the UFC's light heavyweight division. Gian Villante, 15-8-0, takes on Francimar Barroso, depending on how you say it. 19 wins, 5 losses, and 1 no contest. Now, both guys tend to be gatekeepers. You beat them, and you get a shot at a top 15 guy, or at least maybe you get to move up a little bit and fight a guy higher ranked than them. But they're low-level light heavyweights, but they got pretty good staying power. Villante comes in this matchup having lost 2 in a row, including a split decision against Patrick Cummins, where he looked pretty good early and had some moments, but certainly couldn't put it together enough to win and convince the judges to do so. He is 1-3 in his last 4 fights. For Barroso, he lost versus Rakic. I can't pronounce his name properly. The Austrian fighter in his last fight. He is 1-2 in his last 4 fights with a no contest mixed in. He avenged that no contest and picked up a victory there. Villante, 2 inches taller, have a 1-inch reach advantage. He is 5 years younger than the Brazilian. Villante, former heavyweight, and there's a lot of talk about how big he gets. 250 pounds upwards. He's bigger than some heavyweights leading up to his fights, and that leads for a big weight cut, and that definitely is an issue because the big weight cuts can take a lot out of you. And we have seen Villante gas. We'll talk about that in a bit. Now, for Barroso, he's a very measured, paced grinder. Throws single strikes, left jab, he'll throw a big overhand right. He'll work on some low kicks. We have seen him time his opponent's low kicks and try and catch and return fire with an overhand right of his own. He likes to strike and drive in for takedowns. He'll stall out in a clinch if he can't get the initial takedown. I have seen him change gears a little bit and look for a trip, but again, just not enough. I like to see more action from him in close. He's not an overly active striker no matter where he's fighting. He struggles when opponents push the pace. We saw Nikita Krylov simply overwhelm him and just beat him back. At times, he will jump in and lurch forward with a single strike, and he has been countered on several occasions. He was getting cracked with some big strikes in his last fight. An uppercut from his opponent was routinely getting through his guard, and he tends to slow down. He throws less. He backs up to the cage. And that's, he's not a well-conditioned fighter who fights 3 rounds. We talked about how his conditioning is fantastic. No, he starts to slow down, but for a lot of times he's fought other opponents who slow down as well, and if he just stays a little bit more active, he usually picks up a very close and sometimes controversial victory. Now for Villante, he tends to start very strong, and he tends to fade as fights advance, which is certainly a concern against a guy like Barroso, who has had success winning fights that are close and just being slightly more active. Now Villante has a decent left jab. He does his best work when he sets everything up off that jab. He's got solid power in his right hand. He'll mix in a right uppercut as well. But again, he needs to set up his power strikes better. When he throws naked punches, they aren't nearly as effective, and he can wind up getting countered, or they don't land. He's got a good kicking attack. He'll go high, low body in all situations. He'd shoot up Anderson's legs with low kicks, and before knocking him out, took away his mobility, which is one of his best performances to date. against Savarov, one of his last victories. He got in an absolute firefight, and he hurt him and eventually finished him, but he got tired as well in that matchup, and he took a lot of damage. He got hurt a couple of times and nearly lost a fight he was actually running roughshod over. Defensively, good takedown defense for the most part. He should be able to limit Barroso's takedown success, which takes away one of the Brazilian's key weapons that he likes to call on later in fights when they're close. Overall, I'd say Villante is the better athlete. He needs to keep active, though. Leg kicks and jab will be the keys to his success, especially, throw those low kicks, go to the body, maybe take away his gas, pump that jab in his face, disrupt him. Barroso slows down too much for my liking, not enough volume. I think Villante can just gut it out as long as he keeps attacking. It's one of these fights where it's like it could go either way. Villante could certainly lose this matchup if he gasses, but I think it's his to win, so my prediction is Gian Villante to defeat Francimar Barroso by decision. Fight number 3 in the main card takes place in the UFC's bantamweight division as Calvin Kattar, 17 wins and 2 losses, takes on Hurricane Shane Burgos, undefeated at 10-0. Now, Burgos is at 3-0 in the UFC. He stopped Charles Rosa in his last fight. Boston Strong Charles Rosa not in his last fight, but one fight prior, he got Godofredo Pepe in his last fight. He has looked very good. He's an exciting fighter, and he's fighting out in New York, so you have that built-in New York-Boston rivalry. I'm sure they're keying on that here. For Kattar, who I believe he's called the Boston Finisher, he upset Andre Fili in a short notice debut. He has 9 wins in a row, but he had a layoff in the middle, which kind of disrupted some of his momentum. I believe he is actually a UFC or MMA promoter of his own, and I think he took some time to focus there. Physically, both guys 5'11". Burgos will have a 3-inch reach advantage, and he is the younger man by 3 years. Now, looking at Kattar first, he showed a lot of composure, stepping in on short notice in his last fight, and he's fighting at home here, so those are 2 major positives. He should have a full camp, but there will be some more pressure, so that's worth noting. He is 8-1 in fights that go the distance, no finishes since 2010. He does have 6 wins by knockout and 3 submission victories on his record. Now, when he fought Andre Fili, he got off to a bit of a slow start. He was getting tagged early. Fili was really backing up. He wasn't throwing a lot of volume Fili's way, but he really opened up once he got comfortable and once he kind of found his groove and got going. He throws a spearing left jab. He will go to the body with it. He throws a hard right hand and some decent low kicks to match up. He hurt him with a double left jab and a massive right hand in that fight, and he really cranks that right hand once he starts letting it go. He did score a late takedown in one of the rounds and picked up some ground and pounds. That's something he needs to, he certainly could call upon against Burgos if he looks to change gears. Now, Shane Burgos, he's a very calm and calculated striker. He likes to slip punches and then counter strike. He's got good head movement and footwork inside. He'll sit in close, pick away, and then come with power strikes. He's got an accurate right hand, solid left hook. He leads with his left jab or left hook sometimes. He will take a shot to land one. He relies on his chin to hold up, and so far it's looked very good. He's taken some big shots and really not blinked. He landed a nice big knee against Pepe and dropped him in that matchup. He showed excellent counter wrestling, prevented Pepe from taking him down, and he keeps the fight, and that allows him to keep the fight where he wants it. And if he wants to strike, I think that's an excellent, and he's doing so well at it. I think that's fantastic that he has that defensive capability. Now, this fight, I think, should be contested on the feet, but I'm not saying it might not hit the mat. I would say Kattar's the more likely of the two to pursue the takedown. Both fighters have solid jabs and good power, but I like Burgos' ability to push forward, keep the pressure on, and fight moving forward confidently. I think Kattar's going to get back. He's not going to back Burgos up, and I think that's the key here. Look for Burgos to slip the punches and land counter strikes, force Kattar to fight off his back foot, which will make him far less effective. Kattar's fighting at home versus a guy from New York, which is big. He's going to be jacked up, but keep in mind, there's more pressure here. He's at a full camp. He's not coming in, loosey-goosey like he did in his last fight with nothing to lose. He has a lot to lose here. And for Burgos, this is his 4th time fighting in the UFC. He's in a better spot mentally, I think. And my prediction is Shane Burgos to defeat Calvin Kattar by decision. And now it's time for the first of 2 title fights. We have a light heavyweight title fight as DC, the champion, Daniel Cormier, 19 wins, 1 loss, and 1 no contest, takes on the number 2 ranked fighter, Volkan No Time Oezdemir, 15 wins and a single defeat. Now, this is a very weird fight. I like the fight, but it's a weird fight. The champion lost his title in his last matchup, then got it back, and he's defending it again. And then on top of that, we have the fact that Jon Jones might be cleared shortly and maybe shouldn't have been stripped at all. It might have been a big mistake. Now, for Oezdemir, in a year, he has gone from a late notice replacement to a title challenger. 3 fights, a split decision win, and then a combined 70 seconds to get 2 knockouts to get him in this position. Now, Cormier had won 4 in a row over top competition, which is worth noting. Taking a Rumble twice, Gus, and who else did he have mixed in there as well? Anderson Silva. But he's coming off his first stoppage loss, quote unquote. Call it like it is. It's still a stoppage defeat. Yes, he got the title fight back, or the title belt back, but it is what it is. That was a good night. I like that night. It was a great night. He lost to Jon Jones, which really, what has that done to him mentally? It's even harder for him to say I'm the champion, I think, deep down in his heart, knowing what happened, knowing that Jones is on his way back. How does that play a role? Oezdemir, 3 inches taller. He'll have a 3-inch reach advantage, and he is 10 years younger than Cormier, so the champion has all the intangibles here, at least physically. Now, again, where's Cormier's head at? He looked pretty messed up after he lost the fight. He is getting up in age. He's almost 40 years old, I believe. And, you know, he got knocked out by Jones. They said that's a brutal thing to suffer through. You know, we saw how devastated he was. It adds to that narrative that he isn't really the champion because he's lost the champion, the guy who everybody thinks is the champ, twice. With Jones getting cleared, how further does that impact him? Cormier's a confident guy, but maybe some of the insecurities lie under that confident outer shell. You know, is he coming back? Is Jones coming back? Should the title not have been taken away? All those questions have to be looming in the back of Daniel Cormier's head. They could be serving as a distraction when he takes on a very dangerous and lesser-known challenger. Question 2, who is Volkan Oezdemir? You know, he didn't get a good look at him in his debut because it was a short-notice debut. His other 2 fights have been way too close. Or, sorry, way too short to really get a good look at him. So we don't know a heck of a lot about him and how he competes at this level, even though he's blown through guys. A lot of people thought OSP won that fight, and we would not be here if he did. Who, you know, you look at Cormier, we know he's been through wars. He's been tested against Rumble, against Gus, against Jones. You know, will he slip up eventually? Is this the time that fight hat goes down? He's taken some big shots in the past. Is it going to catch up with him? I don't know. He's got a hell of a chin. I'm not saying he can't be knocked out, which we've seen him get knocked out. You know, Ozdemir's recent success has to continue, and he has to do what he's been doing recently to win this fight. It's very unlikely he wins a fight that goes beyond the opening round. Will Cormier stand and bang with him, or will we take him down similar to approach he did against Rumble Johnson, against Anderson Silva, use that takedowns, grind him out, and eventually finish him on the mat? Oezdemir, when he took out Serkinov, he landed counters. When he took out Jimmy Manuwa, it was a flurry along the cage as he pushed forward. You know, it takes a lot to put Daniel Cormier down. Jones had to hit him a number of times, and build up some damage to eventually put him down. Rumble cracked him with some big shots and couldn't finish him. You know, can Oezdemir surprise us all and knock him out? I don't know. I don't think so. Cormier is an excellent in-fighter, working close inside at close range. You know, get on the inside and work that dirty boxing, uppercuts, work along the cage, clinch, land short strikes, eventually look for the takedown. Oezdemir has had issues in the past with takedown defense, and his cardio has been a little suspect in fights prior to coming to the UFC when it actually goes beyond the first round. I think similar to the Anderson Silva fight, Cormier will recognize the threat, take him down. Cormier keeps it close, uses pressure in the clinch with his takedowns to simply wear him out. He recognizes that there's a potential fight with John Jones in the not-too-distant future, maybe one with Gustafsson, if Jones, you know, depending on what happens with him. Look for Oezdemir to eventually be exhausted and turtle up like Rumble did, get broken down, probably rounds 3 or 4. And my prediction is Daniel Cormier to defeat Volkan Oezdemir by submission. And here we are, folks. Heavyweight title fight main event. I don't know if there's been a title fight that's been as highly anticipated as this one. The champion, Stipe Miocic, 17 wins and 2 losses, taking on the #1 ranked fighter in the division, the Predator Francis Ngannou, 11 wins and single loss, fighting out of Cameroon. He is a mountain of a man. And again, most anticipated heavyweight title fight since JDS versus Velasquez, #1, quite possibly. The heavyweight division is very interesting right now. You got Verdum, you've got Velasquez, all both waiting on the winner. You know, there's some solid fights to be made no matter who wins this bout. You're telling me you're not going to let us see Cain Velasquez and Francis Ngannou if he wins the title fight, or Stipe? It's going to be good. Now, Stipe has won 5 consecutive bouts, and he's going for the heavyweight title defense record. He has 2 defenses over Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem. He took it off Fabricio Verdum. He also has beaten Hunt and Arlovsky. That's a cavalcade of top-ranked heavyweight fighters. For Ngannou, he comes in this matchup having won 10 consecutive bouts, 6 in the UFC, and he's faced a nice escalation of talent, and he has finished them all. Physically, both men 6'4", 3-inch reach advantage for the challenger. He is also 4 years younger. Now Ngannou's getting better, and that's friggin' scary. He debuted with back-to-back second-round finishes. Then, as he faced better competition, he started knocking him out in the first round and submitting him in the first round, putting him down with relative ease. Very impressive. Stipe, he finished Mark Hunt in the 5th round and then lost a 5-round war. He lost a 5-round war to Junior Dos Santos. So some 5-round big fights for him, but he has since picked up 4 straight first-round finishes. So he's been putting guys away with impressive success as well. Could this fight come down to who lands first? It could. It could also come down to who starts to fade first. That's another big factor here. And Ngannou, the challenger, he's a patient, calculated striker. He has massive power, as we saw in his last fight. I've seen a couple of fights. He sets up his strikes very well, but a lot of people would say he's untested. You know, if he can't put his opponent away early, how does he hold up in rounds 2 and 3? He throws an excellent left jab, and he does a good job of stepping to the outside with his lead left foot. He's always stepping to the outside, trying to line himself up. He forces his opponent to slide into his power right when he throws that left. When he fought Overeem, he slipped one of his big punches and landed that right hook to move Overeem into the fight-ending left. It was a beautifully executed combination that put him down. Similar fashion against Andrei Arlovsky, he landed a left hook that moved Arlovsky into his right, called a shovel hook or an uppercut, depending on how you want to look at it. Put him away again in that fight. He throws that lead left hook to bring opponents again into his power right. He throws a big overhand left as well, clubbing with a little bit wide extension. And sometimes that technique just falters a little bit for me. but it's there. He's very dangerous. Now, one thing that's worth noting, he has been taken down in fights. Spent some time on his back early against Luis Henrique and Curtis Blades. Won both those fights, but still taken down. When Overeem tried to get low, he set up, used his underhooks to defend the takedown, and he looked very strong in the clinch, moved Overeem around with relative ease, landed some good knees in that position, and I would expect that's what he's going to look to do against Stipe, who primarily will look for a single leg. The big thing is with Ngannou too, he fights at his own pace, but he's never fought more into the third round, let alone 5 rounds. Early 2016 was the last second-round fight of his career. How does he hold up in rounds 3, 4, and 5 against a guy like Stipe, who's multidimensional and has been through some 5-round wars? Now, for Miocic, the champion, he has big power. Not getting the credit for what he has done. He feels a little bit spited by the UFC. Economical with his power, which is worth noting. He does a good job of pumping that jab out there, working some low percentage or high percentage low power shots that are going to land, not gas him out, still do damage, and set up the power strikes momentarily. He throws lots of movement at his opponent, lots of feints and fakes. I always screw that up. Lead left hand to feel the distance, constantly pawing it out there to really gauge when his attack is coming, and then pushing back. He was dropped by Overeem with a straight left hand. Excuse me, but it was kind of a weird sequence when Overeem kind of ran away from an initial engagement, and he came back in and boom, caught him on the chin, put him down. We know he was TKO'd by Stefan Struve back in the day, not the same fighter. Stipe at his best keeps pressure on. He does it very effectively. He fought in close against Junior Dos Santos. Usually, again, along the cage, he was throwing big combinations once he had him cut off. I like the way he throws short punches. He'll work around his opponent's guard. He'll use a left hook, right hook, straight left combination. He'll throw a left uppercut through the bottom of the guard, and then a right uppercut, then a right strike around the guard. A left hook around the guard, a right uppercut under the guard. Against Junior Santos, he threw a nice straight right from distance, backed him up. Another right drop, dropped him. It was those counter right hands that put Fabricio Verdum down. He will work in some low kicks, and he'll throw some nice inside low kicks. Not enough. I want to see more of that. But again, against Francis Ngannou, he's got to be careful not to get countered when he does that. As far as his wrestling is concerned, we've seen him grab a low single, almost like an ankle pick at times, for takedowns and big ground and pounding. He really made Overeem quit on the mat and put him out. We have seen him go to his wrestling in the past when things haven't been going well on the feet. And I think that's something he certainly could consider here. Ngannou's not a fish out of water on the mat, but he doesn't want to be on his back for too long with Stipe. Stipe's the underdog, but he's battle-tested. He has better experience and more experience against better opposition. I know they fought some of the same opponents, but Stipe has more of it. Ngannou has power and is very good at delivering it, but he overextends at times. I think Stipe will find the home for his shorter, more compact strikes more frequently. Again, I say that it only takes one. Stipe might take one right on the chin and be done. Stipe needs to use lateral movement, make him miss, move all the way into dirty box or all the way out to be defensive. Miocic will wear him down, I think, with his pressure, his clinch game. He maybe will go to that wrestling, drag him into deep waters, really wear him out. We also land some shorter, more compact strikes and knock him out early in that fight. It's going to be a fantastic matchup. Again, this is one of those matchups I could see going either way with, either guy landing that big fight home run. I think Stipe's got more methods to win this bout. With compact boxing, with power strikes from the outside, by using his wrestling. I think he's got more options. So my prediction is Stipe Miocic should defeat Francis Ngannou by TKO and retain his heavyweight title and set the record for most title defense. So those are my 5 main card predictions for UFC 220. All of my preliminary picks will be available at kamikazeoverdrive.net. The bet packs did very well last show. We're trying to build on a 9-2 start to the year, so certainly consider investing. I'm very excited for this matchup. It was going to be an excellent night. It's taking a bit of a hit, but it'll be okay. I'll survive. So again, follow me on KO_predictions on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. You can check me out there. You can check me out on YouTube. Anything really. You can email me through my website, kamikazeoverdrive.net. All those fun things. As always, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everything you do for me. And may 2018 be a fantastic year for you and yours. I certainly hope it will be for mine. Take care, guys. Hi.